All right, it's time for some teacher tips. These are just some things that are going to apply to learning and to all instruments that I wanted to share with you all. Because the art of playing is one thing and the art of learning kind of another. I mean, they're tied together, but you get better at practicing and you get better at learning just the same way that you're going to get better at playing your instrument. One of the first things I wanted to share is about how to learn. You know, a lot of the times people just jump into like a tablature or a video and just start playing. And I don't think that's the best approach, because you want to understand what a tune is supposed to sound like before you ever start playing it. Okay, so this quote that I had heard recently from my girlfriend who's studying like advanced linguistic stuff just really struck me, and I wanted to share that. And it's the pressure to produce can distract from the ability to perceive. So if you're really worried about playing and like making these sounds, sometimes that pressure can stop you from understanding the sounds that you need to understand, you know. So I guess I want to encourage you guys to play less and listen more. So listen in Tunefox. Listen with some playlists. Like, make whatever song you're working on, make a playlist that has like a bunch of different versions of that song. That way you'll hear, you know, the melody and the chord changes a bunch. And you'll hear a bunch of different versions and hear what they have in common. And also just reading the tablature. That's another way to just perceive something and to understand it, but read without playing, okay? It's a form of practice, and like I said, you want to understand what the tune sounds like before you ever play it. Ideally, you should be able to hum along or hum the tune or sing the words to a verse, or even just think through what it sounds like without playing it. Because if you can do that, then you understand the tune. You know the tune, and learning to play it will be the next step. Another thing I want to encourage you all to do is to change how you listen. So we already talked about making a playlist, and that's really good, you know, listening to a bunch of different versions, but also listening to just one version a lot is really good. I've talked about repetitive listening a bunch. It's very powerful. It really helps you memorize, you know, what something sounds like. It's like watching a movie a bunch of times. Each time, you know, each successive time you watch it, you might notice something else that you didn't notice before. And one way to really get in tune to the details of what you're hearing is to, one, listen with your eyes closed. You know, lots of times visuals can be a huge distraction from hearing. That's something I've noticed in my private lessons recently. I had a student that was just really trying to listen with their eyes, and I'm telling them, no, close your eyes so you can really hear what's going on. You know, shut off all the information that you're receiving from your eyes so we can focus on what we're hearing with our ears. So listening with your eyes closed is good. Helps you focus on what you're hearing. Active listening, also important. So as you're listening to the same version repeatedly, maybe the first time, you know, whatever your instrument is, you focus on that. So if it's banjo, I'm just listening to the banjo the first time, really trying to focus on it. And maybe the second listen, I'll focus on what the singer's singing and just focus on that. Maybe the third time, I'm only listening to the bass, so I'm listening for those low frequencies. You know, listen to a different instrument each time. It's really going to train your ears. You know, it's almost like learning to look at different directions, learning to hear and focus on different sound frequencies is a skill. It's going to really develop your ear and get you in tune to the song in a lot deeper way than you ever have been in tune to it before. All right, last one is just listening to a metronome. You know, a lot of the times we're trying to play to a metronome, and it's very challenging. You know, the metronome doesn't lie. The metronome does not forgive. But it's also one of the best tools we have to like develop really steady timing. But a tip that I'd heard from a classical guitarist was just to listen to it. You know, not even to play along. Remove that pressure to produce so we can perceive, you know, what steady timing actually is. So I'm going to grab my metronome here. I'm going to set it to 60 beats per minute, you know, a beat per second. I'm just going to listen. You may even like nod along, but like again, we're not trying to perceive, or we're not trying to produce, we're trying to perceive. So just hearing the steadiness of it, you know, and listening for a couple minutes. Does it seem like much? But it really will start to program your ears for that steady timing. You know, you perceive what it's supposed to actually sound like with that really steady beat. Okay. Once you just do some listens with it, and you start to hear that steady beat, you may want to start moving your body, and that's a good thing. We're going to do that before we actually play with our instrument. So some preliminary steps into like playing in time is going to be done again without the instrument. I'm going to get the metronome going and show you guys what I mean. So again, it's going at 60 beats per minute. After listening for a little bit, I might just nod my head. And this is good. I'm not making any sound, right? So there's no sounds that I'm making that are going to stop me from hearing what's steady. But maybe where we start to actually produce some sound here, maybe we just tap our toe. That's a really good way, a simple way to work on steady beat, because it's not too loud and it's physical. We think about like walking speed, right? And we're really trying to get it to tap right with that click. Or you could pat your knee. We're just doing simple stuff, but trying to do it extremely accurate. Here's another challenge. Trying to count out loud with the metronome. Most people are stunned when they find out how hard it is to count accurately, especially for an extended time with a metronome. And it's a clear sign that if you can't count out loud in time, chances are your timing, of playing is not going to be that great. So get the metronome going at 60 beats per minute and then count out loud, not silently, out loud. It's important. It makes a difference because you can hear if you're on or off. Count out loud to 4, a bunch, until you're sure that you're staying in beat with it the whole time. So I'm nodding my head. I hear that high-pitched click. I know that's beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm pretty good at it, but I've practiced with the metronome a lot, and I'm trying. You can't halfway do this. You gotta actually try. You don't want to think it's simple, and then not try hard enough, and then you're off time. But if you haven't done this, like I said, it can be a big challenge, but also a big step in the right direction once you start to work with it some, to develop just your basic timing skills. All right, that's it for the teacher tips. As you can tell, most of them this month, just about listening, okay? So listening to the songs you're gonna play, listening to the metronome, and listening in some different ways, okay? Our ears, it's music is about sound. It's not about sight. We use our sense of sight to help us, with a tablature, with looking where the frets are, or with washing someone else's hands. But music, it's about sound. So we want to close our eyes, we want to listen, we want to engage our ears more and in different ways. All right, hope that helps you all. Keep picking, stay tuned.